uninvited guest that shows up, eats all your food, drinks your juice, and still expects a goodbye hug after leaving your remote dirty. Just when you thought Eskom had gotten its act together, stage 4, baba! Welcome back to a romantic candlelit dinner and battery-powered dream. Because today I'm diving into the absolute disaster that is called load shedding in the country you live in. And if you don't know what that is yet, then wow, I am jealous of you because you are living in some blissful, uninterrupted dream. The rest of us though, well, load shedding is like that one toxic ex that you can't get rid of no matter what. You know it's bad for you, but somehow it'll still always be there lurking in the background waiting to ruin your day. Those vibes. If you somehow haven't heard the term load shedding yet, it's a polite way of saying we're going to turn off your power and you can't do anything about it. The official reason is that the power grid is under too much strain because Eskom, our lovely national electricity provider, just can't seem to keep up with the demand for some strange reason. So instead of giving us consistent electricity, they share the misery by rotating power outages. Basically, everyone gets their turn to feel like they live in a rural village with no access to modern luxuries like Wi-Fi or, electricity. Adam and Eve vibes. But wait, it gets better because the whole system is so unpredictable that even you can't plan for when your lights are going out. 1 minute you're watching Netflix, living your best life on a Saturday afternoon, and then you hear the light bulb. Ding! Well, now you already know because it's black in the room now, and the lights went out. You're sitting there in the darkness thinking, but guys, what did I do to deserve this? Well, the truth is, you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing to deserve this. In fact, you deserve electricity. You pay for it. But you're born in South Africa. That's the problem. Let's talk about Eskom for a second. The people in charge of your electricity who seem to think it's perfectly fine to just switch it off as though it's a light switch with no regard for the fact that we're in the middle of trying to watch the latest episode of our favorite show or run a business. These guys have this magic trick where they can make all your plans disappear. Houdini vibes. You need to study for an exam? Trying to cook dinner? Good luck with that one. Trying to charge your phone so you can use your GPS to get out of the house? Nah, that dream's gone too with Eskom coming to the rescue. But here's the real kicker. Eskom promised to give you regular updates about when the power will be restored. And guess what? Those updates are usually as reliable as your little brother promising to clean his room. It's like they make the schedule just to mess with us. At this point, that's what I think. You think it's supposed to be off for 2 hours, but then 6 hours later, you're still sitting in the dark, wondering why you were born into this chaos and why the electricity hasn't come back yet. And then there's that load shedding app, that despicable thing. I mean, bless whoever made that thing. But calling it a solution is like saying a band-aid can fix a broken leg. That app was supposed to tell us when our area was going to lose power. But after time, it's just a guessing game. You'll open it up and then see that your area is marked no load shedding. And then you think, I fade. Alright, cool. I'm safe for now. And then 30 minutes later, the lights go out, your phone is at 5% and you're left cursing the app for giving you false hope like Cyril. Oh, and the best part? The app won't even let you know if the power comes back until 3 hours later. So you've just been sitting there in the dark for hours, waiting for an update that never comes. The app's interface is so ugly, it looks like it was designed by a group of 12-year-olds using Microsoft Print and being Mia Khalifa fans. Good luck figuring that thing out. It's like they were trying to make the worst app possible to match the entire load shedding experience. But I also wanted to talk about the so-called load shedding schedule, speaking of the apps, because that schedule is basically the hope of any South African who's ever been hit with a power outage. If you really look at it, you look at it for a moment and then you think, okay, this is the key to solving my life through this madness, right? You try to figure out when you're going to be the next. You try to figure out when you're going to do your homework, when electricity comes back. You stock up the candles, you get your power banks ready. You pray to the electricity gods that you don't miss the 2-hour window when your lights will be on. Hope. You even plan ahead. But then you realize that the schedule is completely unreliable because it's not going to happen anyway. They might say no load shedding in your area from 2 to 4 p.m. But then, ding, the power goes out right in the middle of your afternoon nap. It's like the schedule is written by a toddler who has no concept of time. You try to follow it, but it's like trying to play a game of hide and seek with no rules. The power will just go off randomly, and then there's nothing you can do about it. I just hate that feeling of switching the switch on and off, and then there's no light coming on. Just hate that feeling. Can y'all relate? Comment down if you can. And of course, you can never forget how everyone seems to have their own idea of the schedule. You check the national schedule, your friend checks it, and then your mom checks it, and each of you ends up with different times. Suddenly, you're all playing an absurd game of guess when the power will come back. Woohoo! Spoiler alert, you'll probably all guess wrong. And here's why. Because that's not the craziest part. The craziest part is that the more advanced our technology gets, the worse the load shedding gets. Explain that. We're living in an age where everything is smart. Your fridge is smart, your TV is smart, smartphones, even your toaster is smart now. But none of that matters when you can't keep the lights on for more than 2 hours. Tell me if I'm telling lies. And don't get me started on the Wi-Fi, because you're sitting there trying to work or study, and then your interests cut out, because guess what? Load shedding. It's like we've got fiber optic internet, but no electricity to keep the router running. Make it make sense. What a time to be alive, huh? Let's be honest. The government's excuse is as tired as your phone's battery during a 4-hour blackout. Coal is scarce. Scarce in South Africa? The land where coal practically grows on trees and is sold? What's next? We are running out of sand in the Kalahari. Please, that's the excuse I expect next, mark my words. Because this isn't about scarcity, it's about control. They dim the lights, not because they are saving the grid or whatever nonsense they tell you, but because they are turning up the prices. Every time the lights go out, every time they do that, your wallets get a little lighter. It's like Eskom moonlights as a pickpocket. And the side effects, well, candle wax stains on every surface of the house because you forgot to blow out the candle when the power came back. And let's not forget that forced romance, because nothing brings couples together like being stuck in the dark pretending candlelight is mood lighting and not just survival. Eskom turning houses into love nests since 2007. The real scam though is that we're paying premium prices for budget service. It's like ordering a steak and then you get a plate of bones. The waiter still demands a tip after that. And if you're wondering what Cyril's doing about this, oh, he's quiet as a church mouse. The Minister of Electricity is probably charging his phone at the union buildings. Duh. Because at least his lights stay on. So here we are. Back to unplugging appliances like it's a national sport, resetting clocks every morning, switching off the distribution boards and hearing that tragic beep when the Wi-Fi dies. The circle of load shedding life. But hey, at least the stars look brighter when the street lights are off, am I right? Small victories, right? You always gotta look at the bright side of things. That's what your government tells you. It's funny how every year Eskom dusts off the same playbook. This summer, the heat is affecting the grid. On winter then, the cold is affecting the grid. On spring, maintenance season. Autumn, the leaves are falling on the grid. At this point, the only season not affecting the grid is the seasoning on my Nando's chicken. Remember when Eskom promised us no load shedding during Christmas? You believed them like kids believing in Santa Claus vibes. And just like Santa, the lights never showed up. Instead, you got power cuts right when you were about to dish up the gammon and open gifts. Eskom is the Grinch that stole electricity. No, it's Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. And the politicians treat load shedding like potholes. They are talking about fixing it. They cut the ribbon on the project, take a picture for Twitter, and then nothing. If we could harness the energy from broken promises, we'd be running on renewable disappointment. We'd have our own Tesla tower of broken promises. Load shedding just doesn't kill the vibe. It kills businesses. How are you supposed to run a spaza shop when your fridge is off and on, and always off more than it's on? Imagine selling ice cream in Soweto and having to explain why it's now milkshake. Yeah, we sell pre-melted ice cream, premium service. Small businesses can't afford generators. And even those who can are crying about the diesel prices. It's not big mathematics. It's like Eskom and the petrol stations are in a toxic relationship. When one hurts you, the other one finishes the job. And the schools? Imagine kids trying to study for exams by candlelight like it's the 1800s. Sorry, teacher, I couldn't do my homework at stage 6, ma'am. Eskom is single-handedly lowering your national pass rate. Load shedding doesn't just rob you of light. It messes with your life, with your brain. Your fridge turns into a petri dish for bacteria. Is this chicken still fine? No, it's now a science experiment, honey. Alarm systems, useless. Criminals love load shedding more than they love unguarded wallets. It's the perfect time for a break-in, Jack Mabaso vibes, because even the CCTV cameras are taking a nap. Medical equipment? Forget about it. If you're on oxygen or ICU, Better cross your fingers and hope stage 8 doesn't show up. But hey, at least some industries are thriving. The candle sales are booming like it's the Victorian era. Ever notice how candles suddenly got fancy? They are now labeled organic, hand-poured, artisanal. No, my guy, I don't need a lavender-scented enlightenment stick. I just need light, okay? Then there's that power bank hustle. Everyone's selling those chunky bricks that charge your phone exactly once before dying. Fast charging, they say. If fast means faster than waiting for Eskom to fix the grid, then sharp. Load shedding isn't just an inconvenience, it's psychological warfare. There is nothing like hearing that ultimate silence in the house, the TV going black too when the power goes off. Your soul leaves your body for a moment. And that worst part, that's not even that. It's that the schedule is as unpredictable as lotto numbers. Stage 6 at 7:45, for example. Just imagine. It's messing with our mental health. People now suffer from power PTSD. Your lights flicker and you're already packing candles like you're preparing for battle against the Eskom titans. Every time we ask, why is this happening? And the answers get more and more ridiculous. We are being sabotaged. Who's sabotaging you? James Bond? Mission Impossible? Who's sabotaging Eskom? If Eskom was a spy movie, it would be called Lights Out, the never-ending sequel, starring Jet Li. Or they'll say things like, we are having aging infrastructure. Maybe stop spending millions on VIP jets and start fixing the grid. Just a thought from Summer Sambik. And Cyril, he pops up once in a while like a software update you ignore. We are working on it, he says on his podium, with the same energy as a kid explaining why they didn't do their homework. Since Eskom clearly isn't getting its act together, we had to adapt at some point. So here are some survival tips from me. Number 1, invest in every rechargeable thing. Everything. Lights, radios, battery. If it's not rechargeable, it's useless. Number 2, get used to the braai life, buddy. If you can braai every night, do it. Breakfast, braai. Lunch, braai. Eskom turned us all into master chefs, okay, overnight. So get used to the braai life. Number 3, print your schedule. Don't ignore it. Eskom's schedule is about as reliable as a broken clock. Just expect blackouts anytime, anywhere. So you must print your own. Number 4, buy a power bank. Or 3, for your phone, your Wi-Fi, and 1 for your sanity. Because let's be real for a second. Living with load shedding teaches you grit. But not the kind of grit you learn from hard work and perseverance. This is the grit you learn by trying to live like it's the Neanderthal times and discovering that candles are now your best friend. You get used to scrambling for candles in the dark, relying on your phone's flashlight on 5% and hoping to God that you have enough battery to survive until that power comes back. You're basically living a halftime apocalypse in The Walking Dead. Now you also learn how to plan your entire life around the power schedule. You want to cook dinner? Well, I'm sorry, honey, because you better make sure it's before 4 p.m. You want to finish that business project, son? Better hope you have enough battery left in your laptop. Nowadays, in South Africa, if you want to have a conversation with someone, you have to check if their phone is charged. Because guess what? Your phones are the only form of communication in the world of blackouts. And let's not ignore the psychological toll that load shedding takes on people. I'll say this again. It's one thing to lose power for a couple of hours, but when it happens every single day, guys, it messes with your brain. Haven't you noticed? You start to live in a constant state of fear and anticipation. Your whole day revolves around when you'll get power next. When will it come back? Will it go off again? Just when I'm about to wrap up my day and say my night prayers? It's a game of mental gymnastics. You begin to expect the worst and prepare for it. And when you finally get a full day of electricity, a full day of electricity in South Africa, let's be honest, you almost forget what to do with yourself. You're like, wait, I can actually use the fridge without worrying it's gonna go off in the middle of the night? This is a luxury! Oh my gosh! At the end of the day, the real scam isn't just load shedding, isn't just Eskom messing with our power. The real scam is the government pretending that they don't know what is happening. They've known for years. It's not like they woke up in the morning and said, Ish, we don't have enough power to meet the demand. They knew that. They knew that was going to happen. And instead of fixing it, they've just continued to watch as we all slowly lost our minds while trying to survive a powerless life. And the worst part, we keep paying for the service that isn't even working. I know. People in South Africa are paying for electricity that doesn't exist. And we're supposed to just suck it up and be grateful for whatever power they decide to give us. It's a joke. This is communism. It's not a joke. It's a joke we're all in together, and somehow we keep laughing through the tears because what else can we do? We're South Africans. The sad part of all this, though, is that we're getting used to the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Load shedding is becoming part of the culture, like boerewors and rugby, except less enjoyable and more expensive. We joke about it because if we don't, we're gonna cry. But underneath the laughter is frustration. South Africans are resilient, but even resilience has limits. How long must we light candles while politicians enjoy uninterrupted power and more scandals and touching kids? The truth is, load shedding is more than just power cuts. It's a symptom of deeper problems, mismanagement, corruption, and a government that's mastered an art of excuses. Will it get better? Maybe. But don't hold your breath unless you're conserving oxygen because the ventilator's off in your ICU room. In the meantime, we'll keep laughing, keep adapting as South Africans, and keep calling out the nonsense. Because if there's one thing Eskom cannot switch off, it's that summer Sambit spirit in the videos. Am I right? So light your candles, charge your power banks, and prepare for another round of darkness. Because while the lights might go out, the jokes and the outrage will always stay on with me. So yeah, load shedding is a scam, in case you're wondering. It's a joke, conspiracy. It's all scripted, betrayal, illusion. It's all part of life now too. And if you can't manage it overnight, at least you can laugh about it and vent your frustrations together, right? Because that's what you do in South Africa. You survive, you complain, make baby mamas, make jokes about how ridiculous it all is, get fatherless kids. Am I right? That's what you do over here. Maybe one day it'll be fixed, but for now, just get used to it. Stock up on candles, invest in a decent power bank, and always check the load shedding app, even though it will probably be wrong. And hey, maybe we'll get a day without load shedding, and we'll treat it like it's Christmas. Isn't that right, my fellow looked down upon and oppressed South Africans? So cheers to Eskom, our nation's most consistent disappointment.